Hello, how's everyone doing? I am back to continue my story, and I think few of you are following this video already. If you're not, you have to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to exactly know when the next video is up. And also, in case you don't know, I also do blog writing, so all that I talk about in a video, I also put that down in a writing. You have to go to my website for that, which is vijeta.com. So last where we left off was that we got a shared accommodation and Softy and I moved in, and we arranged our stuff in our room. It was a very tiny room, but it was all right. Single bed is what we had for the two of us. We arranged the room, we put everything in its place, and then we wanted to sleep. Just before going off to sleep, I tried locking the room. Very obvious you are in a shared accommodation, and realized that there is no lock. I was like, oh my god, why did I not check it? But who, when you're going to check houses, at least checking if the room has a lock or not is never been in my scope of things. So I just had not checked it, and even if I had checked it, I now know that I couldn't have changed a thing because you don't have locks here in rooms. So anyways, I couldn't have done anything. I was very scared, but I had to continue living there for a few days. And especially the first night was very scary because I could, from the footsteps, I was literally following footsteps when he was back in the house, that where is he going. His room and my room were pretty adjacent to each other, and every time he wanted to go to his room, he was actually nearing my room, and I was literally scared whenever I could hear him close. So I knew that I can't be living here for many days, but at least for a few days I had to. And our schedule was quite hectic because I had a house now. I had to put Softy into a kindergarten, which is twice a week here. So I would wake up in the morning, pack tiffins for both of us, get her ready for kindy or for daycare, drop her there, go to work for a few hours. During lunchtime, again go to the kindy, pick her from there, drop her to the daycare, come back, work for a few more hours, then go pick her from the daycare and come home, cook dinner, and then go off to sleep. And so far I was commuting by means of taking Uber cabs, and it was very expensive. So I wanted to get a car, and I told Alex about this, that I want to get a car. What is it that you need to do? He said that there are a few websites you can go and check what does the car have, the specs, and contact the owner. And I tried doing that. I checked few websites, and finally I kind of got an option, and Alex offered that he could get us and inspect the car, I'm sorry. And we went, saw the car. It was in all right condition. We brought the car home, but I couldn't have started driving. I had only started driving recently, just before, few months before coming here, but the rules are very different, so I had to take few lessons. I contacted an instructor who was kind enough to be flexible to pick me from work and Softy from the daycare, and on the way home he made me drive his car and gave me few tips, and that's what I did for 2 days, and at least I got the courage to take the car out. But I used to make a lot of mistakes. In the initial few weeks, I made a lot of mistakes. And every time I made a mistake, I was told by the fellow travelers that you've made a mistake by honking. So the street would be all quiet, and all of a sudden there will be a honk. And it was for me. And how big the offense was directly proportional to how long the honk is. And the honks can make you feel really embarrassed and humiliated, and was enough to spoil my mood for half the day. Anyways, I was going on like this for a week, and after a week I had to put fuel in my car's tank, and I didn't know how to operate, because here you don't have people putting fuel in your car. You have to do it yourself. So again I went to Alex. I was like, can you tell me how to put the fuel in my car? And he said, it could be a little difficult to explain like this. Why don't I just go and help you, make you see how to do it? So it was a Saturday evening. We went out, all three of us, to put the fuel, and he explained it was pretty easy. Then I was greedy. I was like, I have him, let me exploit him and also find out how the car washes work. So he said, sure, he can drive us again to a car wash and show us. So we took the next turn, and the moment we took the next turn, we could from a distance see the flickering lights of the police vans. And we thought maybe there's an accident or something like that, but they were actually there to do the random check. And they got us to pull over. The moment we were there, they were like, torches from all corners. There were like 4 5 heads inspecting every part of the car. But I thought we were fine. The breath analyzer was fine. But he got us out of the car, and the main cop was like, do you even realize that you driving with your child and your child's seat is not fastened that well? I was like, I'm sorry. For I knew the car seat is important, but I didn't know that for different age groups we have different kinds of car seats and a different way of fastening it. And because I thought I'm just so close, it should not have been a big deal, but luck would have it. So he gave us a good moral lecture on how important it is to have your child's seat fastened. And he apparently had witnessed an accident before where a child had was thrown off the car because the seatbelt wasn't fastened well. And he was very sure that this kind of an offense cannot be pardoned. So he started writing a fine of $400, and I was like, oh my god, the $400 is quite a bit. And the moment I heard the amount, I started crying. I was like, I am really sorry, sir. I'm so new in this country. I'm a single mother. I don't have a lot of money, and I honestly did not know the guidelines. He was like, I'm sorry. He was very clear. The moment you have a car and you're out on the road, you are supposed to know everything. And he wrote the fine, and I was inconsolable, and Alex could not understand because while he was driving the car. That's worse. I don't know why I gave him the key, because I probably thought that he knows the way, and he was to lose points. I was to pay the fine. I told Alex, don't worry about it. I'm going to pay the fine, but I could not have done anything to the loss of points that he was going to have, which was directly going to impact his license. It was horrifying. I'm anyways very scared of cops, and also because it was such a hectic schedule those days, and I was on the edge all the time, because I think that is why me getting a fine felt so tough that I would not cry publicly, but I did that day. Anyways, we returned home and we had to call it a night. But that one incident was pretty, that stayed with me for many days. I continued driving, and my weekends were also not as happening. So if your weekdays are tough, you look forward to your weekends, but the weekends were just as boring. We did not have people to meet here. We would go out to beaches and to zoos and to parks, but for how long? For a few hours, couple of hours in a day, and then come back and be extremely bored to death. I think Softy wanted to see more faces. I wanted to see more faces and do my own kind of things, but we had no choice. And we kept passing the days in hope that things will get better. And then it was time that Softy was to turn 5 in November, and the moment you turn 5, you're eligible for formal school. So now I started looking for formal schools. And I went and met a couple of school authorities, and in the documents that they required at the time of enrollment, they mentioned that they need a lease agreement of the house that you are in, because that's how they match the address of the lease and understand that you are in the catchment area of that school. And that's when I realized that I will have to leave the house, because the shared accommodation that I was in wouldn't have given me a lease. And something that I was fearing so much, because getting a house, one, means putting a lot of effort to get that house, then putting in a lot of effort and money in furnishing it, enrolling for different utility connections, and whole lot of bills that you will need to be paying. I was avoiding it. I was being very complacent, but now I couldn't have been, because otherwise Softy wouldn't have been able to start school. So in that tough schedule that I mentioned, you had to put in, house inspections also in it. And it was all very taxing, but I was still somehow managing. But then there was something that happened, and that really, really shattered me, shook me. And I was like, no, I can't be doing this. I think I've made a mistake and I need to go back. What was it? I'll tell you in the next episode. Subscribe, bell button, my blog. See ya.